This is the California International Marathon.
Got some coffee and peanut butter bagel. Breakfast of champions right there. Or at least of the hopeful.
This isn't my first marathon, but it feels like it. My first one was back in 2019, where I finished in 4 hours and 19 minutes and was about 20 pounds heavier. Fast forward to the past year and a half, I've lost 85 pounds, finished an Ironman 70.3, but somehow found myself back here, chasing redemption on a foggy Sacramento morning. And the training time for this race? Well, it was shorter. I only trained for 14 weeks, which is shorter than the typical 16 to 20, and I never got above 15 miles, and had no coach either. It was just Garmin telling me what to do every morning. So this could go really well or really not. The race starts in Folsom, and it was perfect running temperature, a little fog, and enough adrenaline to power a small city. I promised myself I'd run by feel, so no pacers, no perfect plan, just me, my hydration pack, and pure optimism. Now, if you look up CIM on the internet, the biggest headline you'll see is that it's a net downhill marathon. But that doesn't change that there were a lot of rollers. But even so, this is my home course, which made me feel very strong and confident in the early miles.
Yeah, 2,000. I'm in a groove.
Now, this was the absolute best part of the race. Before we got to mile 10, I spotted some familiar looking people, and it was my wife and friends and family who had all lined up to support on the course, and just feeling that support was absolutely incredible, and it left a smile on my face for literally the next several miles. It was an incredible feeling.
That was the best thing ever. Alright, halfway point, and still smiling. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Guess we'll find out. Past mile 18. Welcome to the real marathon.
And it's true. Around mile 18 is typically when things start to fall apart for people, and your body wants to stop, but your mind says, I have to keep going, and you have to fight that. But for me, it really wasn't until around mile 22 or 23 when I started to feel like I had mentally and physically run half a mile, 3/4 of a mile, even a full mile, just to look down at my watch and see that I've only run 0.1 or 0.2 miles. And so the distance between mile markers felt like it kept getting longer and longer. And that's the real battle in the marathon. My legs were heavy, and I noticed my pace was slipping. While I was able to maintain an 8:20 or 8:30 pace early on, I felt like I was still working just as hard or even harder, but looking down and seeing 9:30 or maybe 9:40 pace. And the effort continued to get harder and harder to push. And that's where the self-doubt creeps in too. The last few miles are really all hard. Now, I'd be lying to you if I told you that there weren't several times in the final miles where my body was pleading with me to slow down. And I'll be honest, I almost gave in, but I kept telling myself, I didn't train this hard to stop now.
Congratulations to Ali.
I came into this race hoping to just finish under 4 hours. So I couldn't be more thrilled to announce that I crossed the finish line in a total time of 3 hours and 49 minutes, a 30-minute PR. You know, something I tell myself going into every race is I want to know at the end of it that I have given it everything that I've got. Even if I'm not able to finish, I want to know that I left everything out on the course. And I think this moment where I'm doubled over proves that I did just that, and I'm proud of being able to do that. And that's really, at the end of the day, all that any of us can ever do, is give everything that we have in any given moment.
That feels good.
And for those of you who have been following along with my marathon training, you'll know that I didn't train perfectly. I had to make changes along the way, but I think that's pretty common in training plans. And also, you don't have to be perfect to prove that you've changed. Which leads me to something that I've been wanting to say, which is I've seen a lot of fitness influencers recently reflecting on their own personal journeys and referring to themselves in such a negative light, even reverting to name calling like fatty and loser. Now, one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel was to combat that kind of toxic mentality in fitness. So it's really important to say that don't love your body just for how it looks, because that's going to change over time, but more so love it for what it allows you to do, whether that's run 1 mile or 26.2. And no one who's gone through transformation would be where they are today if it weren't for that former version of themselves making a conscious decision on day one to make those positive changes. So don't look back upon yourself with hatred or disgust, but instead with love and appreciation. All right, I promise I'll get off my soapbox now, but thank you so much for joining as always. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe and stick around. Now, as what's next for me, well, you'll have to stay tuned to find out. Catch you in the next one.